let's talk about that Bucs-Saints game. Saints win 23-13 in Tampa Bay. Saints move to 8-8. Bucs fall to 8-8. This was a must-win for the Saints, and it was an opportunity for the Bucs to clinch the division in the NFC South. Instead, next week, there's still a world where the Saints can beat the Falcons, and if the Bucs lose to the Panthers in Carolina, I believe it's in Carolina, we are looking at the Saints sneaking back up to the top of the NFC South. Obviously the odds are in Tampa Bay's favor to beat Carolina, but it's Week 18. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? But man, the Saints have 2 or 3 games a year where they look like the 85 Bears. Now, they kind of lost it in the second half because Baker Mayfield just started dropping big-time throws the entire fourth quarter, and the Bucs almost made this a game. It was very close to being a one-score game with an opportunity to come back. But the Saints, really clean game for them and just dominant on the defensive side of the ball in the first half.
Yeah, the first half in particular, they absolutely shut down that Bucs offense. And they've at least made it live going into the final game of the season. You would expect, given that all they have to do is beat Carolina, Tampa Bay would still win that, take care of business, seal the division with that game. But they blew the opportunity to do it in this game and let the Saints back into it. And 100% it was the Saints' defense making this happen. They really clamped down on that Buccaneers offense, didn't let them go anywhere, and got enough done themselves on the other side of the ball to take advantage of that and just put themselves so far into the distance that the Bucs weren't able to come back.
They sacked Mayfield twice, but it felt like it was just the way the Saints had played in Tampa Bay the last 3 or 4 years, even when Brady was the quarterback. It was, this combination of a pretty good pass rush, collapsing pocket, and just really good job on the back end. They just did they were showing, you could see how they were taking away Mike Evans. And this is what I talk about, the ebbs and flows of the NFL and being able to adjust. Mike Evans, that he broke free for a 35-yarder early, but that was pretty much it for a while. This was not, and it wasn't just Marshawn Lattimore back in the day, over the last couple of years locking him down. It was double teaming, passing him off, taking away the number one option, and Mayfield was just not hitting anything else. Other than that, Saints were coming up, tackling, playing just great defense. On the other side, Juwan Johnson has a big game for the Saints.
Incredible catch up the seam.
Awesome catch up.
Fingertip grab, somersault to keep it intact and make the play. Wild catch.
And that's what the Saints did so well. They were backed up on their own 3 or 4 at that point. Carr throws it up the seam. Juwan Johnson makes the catch. As the Bucs showed signs of life in the first half, there was a fumble. I think it was Rachaad White fumbles after a nice catch and run. So every time the Bucs started to get something going, they either give up a big play or the Saints make a big play offensively or force a fumble. So they played a really nice game, New Orleans. And then in the fourth quarter, again, it looks like it's just going to be a beatdown. It's 20-0. Baker Mayfield has multiple big-time throws down the field, hits Mike Evans originally. And then there's another one where hit Trey Palmer, 58 yards, and Palmer stumbles, hits the ground, was never touched, and that becomes a fumble.
I hate those plays.
So the Bucs had opportunities to get back into this game, 54-yarder to Trey Palmer. Had opportunities. They even got a 2-point conversion to what would have made it 23-15, but that one got negated by penalty. They fail on their next 2-point attempt, and then that was it, 10-point game, and it was over for the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So the NFC South. So it's a disappointing one for Tampa. They don't get to clinch it at home, but they have this opportunity against Carolina. They're going to be heavy favorites again against the Panthers. Now the Panthers, they only beat them by 3 a few weeks ago in Tampa Bay. Panthers coming off another disaster where they lost 26-0, but we'll see if they can keep it competitive. And then then the Saints, every 4 weeks, I use the phrase, "This is the team we expected the Saints to be." And that's it.
Yeah,
this is it.
We had that one sort of sign of life from the Panthers offense and Bryce Young. And if they don't get that in the game, it feels like there's not really any shot of them winning.
Yeah.
Bryce Young's basically had a series of games where he's passed for 150 yards, and then that one game against the Packers where he put up 300 and looked like Bryce Young.
The one thing I'll say, the home road deal, they beat Atlanta at home in the rainstorm. I know it was 9-7. They put up 30 against Green Bay at home. Their last couple home games, they've been way more competitive. It's only 2. Maybe they'll feed off the David Tepper energy. Maybe he was rallying the troops.
Maybe it
to
was
play spoiler next week.
It's an us against the world siege mentality. That's
Yeah.
what he's doing. He's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
Again, I don't know how to. If you're the Saints, they've now won 3 out of 4. It was against the Panthers, the Giants. They win this one. How do you bottle up them playing like that in the first half? I mean, they're again flying into the second half, really into the fourth quarter, flying around and making plays. We've seen that a lot from Dennis Allen's defenses through the years, but just not consistently enough. And same thing from an offensive standpoint, not consistently enough from the Saints this season.
But ironically, the Saints are probably going to end up exactly where they were supposed to be this season. Like if they beat Atlanta, they finish the season 9-8, which you would have said. I mean,
which should be good enough to win the division.
Yeah, well, it just hasn't been, right? So heading into the season, you would be like, okay, the Saints are going to be the worst division winner. They're going to do just enough to win the NFC South because everyone else is going to stink. And they'll finish with like a 9-8 record, and that'll get them in. Well, they're going to finish potentially with the 9-8 record, and it just so happens that it isn't enough to get them in because Baker Mayfield there on his $4 million contract has actually played better than everybody expected him to, and the Bucs have been slightly better than the Saints over the course of the year. But this was kind of what the Saints signed up for, which was mediocrity. But assuming mediocrity would be good enough to win this division, and it hasn't been. And I think that's probably the reality of their situation.